Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Jan Moses back here with another edition of the Salary Cap Report. Now, today's episode is going to be a pretty big one because I think we're going to be seeing more people playing salary cap this week than we have seen in the previous couple of weeks. Obviously, we are just a couple of days into season 3, but we did just get a brand new set of salary cap agendas. I believe it's called Salary Cap Highlight, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, Salary Cap Highlight. Now, unfortunately, it looks like the same exact, or if not that, a very similar salary cap highlight as the one that we had in season 2. If you look at the agendas, all of them reward us with rep. The first 3 require us to play 5 salary cap games and to win 2 of them. And then we have to get points, rebounds, and assists with gold and emerald players, sapphire and ruby players, and then amethyst and above. So you should be able to naturally get these 3 done while you're playing your 5 salary cap games. So it's really not all that labor intensive, which I guess that's kind of nice. What I don't love is that our final reward for completing all of these agendas is a 90 plus overall premium, because that's the same reward that we had for the salary cap highlight in season 2. It would have been nice to have seen this been a diamond. Now, I know 2K doesn't really love giving us diamonds because we didn't get any free diamond pack in the pack market during Thanksgiving weekend. When we had gotten the 90 plus overall premium as our first redeemable pack in the pack market Friday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, I thought that was actually promising because I thought that, there's no way 2K is going to give us our best of the free packs as our first free pack at 11 a.m. on Black Friday. Turns out that ended up being exactly what it was because of the rest of the way, all we had for packs were, at least in my opinion, pretty garbage deluxe packs from sets that would, for the most part, give us golds, emeralds, if you were lucky, a sapphire or a ruby, but nothing really surpassed the 90 plus overall premium. The only other player that I got, the only other shake that I got out of any of my other packs after that 90 plus overall premium that we got early Friday morning was out of a barbecue buckets deluxe pack, I want to say, and I got amethyst Jared Jack. But maybe we'll end up using amethyst Jared Jack because there is something else that I want to point out here, and that is that the salaries have shifted once again. It looks like these salary cap changes come before the promos come out. I, for some reason, thought that these salary cap changes come out around 11 a.m. Eastern when content drops. But when I, logged onto the game this morning, I saw that my team salary jumped up from 13,500 up to 17,600, and unfortunately, it looks like the collection that I've been gassing up so much over the last couple of salary cap report episodes are being hit the hardest with this salary cap value buff, I guess you can call it. And I'm talking about the NBA storylines set. If you look right here, Dyson Daniels, who I was running because he was at, I believe, 2,000 or 2,500 salary, he's now up to 5,000 salary, which is pretty annoying because I thought that we weren't going to really see these players have their salaries adjusted all that much because they weren't really getting pulled out of packs like that. Again, remember, the packs that these NBA storylines cards were in when they were in the pack market were super packs. And so there were a lot of players that you could pull out of the same packs that you could also get these NBA storylines players in. And so I thought, okay, well, if that's the case, since there are so many players you could pull from, you're probably not going to see all that many of these NBA storylines players on the auction house, and that ended up being true. I mean, if you look at it right now, we have rubies. We'll go and take a look right now, right, at a couple of the ones that I still want. For example, Alexander Sarr is a player who, a ruby center who can shoot. So yeah, he's going to be valuable for salary cap. There is no reason why he should be 30K. Like, this is awful. 2 people have him up for over 90K. He's up for bids at a really high value. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure someone bid on this one. Yeah, so someone already put a 16,800 empty bid. It's funny, in I think the last salary cap report episode, we had one up for 15,850, and I said that was too much for me to buy. And then in that same video, we saw someone buy that Alexander Sarr for 15.8, and I've not seen an Alexander Sarr less than that since I uploaded that last video, and I've been checking relatively frequently. So it's pretty frustrating because you see these players not really up on the auction house, and yet 2K still ramps up their salary values. Now, to be fair, a lot of those cards are absolute demons. They are really, really, really good. But I do think all these cards, yeah, like Ryan Dunn, who was 500 salary, I did buy him. I've yet to use him. He's now 800 salary. I think what 2K did was they just took every single card in the set and they maxed out their salary value. So that means all the rubies should be 1200, which that's what it looks like. Tumani Kamara also 1200. Scottie Pippen Jr. also 1200. Sorry, not 200. Josh Giddey, who was 1000, also 1200 now. Let's take a look at the amethyst, just for example. Does that mean Buddy Hield would be what? 4K? Not 4K. 2K. Yeah, 2K is right. 2K is the max for an amethyst. So I guess all the amies are 2K. The sapphires are all going to be 800. The emeralds are all going to be 500, which is pretty depressing because I was really hoping that Deuce McBride would drop down to 300. He was at 400. And I know it's only a couple of hundred salary, but when you're constructing your lineup, every 100 bit of salary counts. And so I'm not going to be able to bring in Deuce McBride now as, you know, my 11th man off the bench, for example. I'm going to have to be really careful with how I construct my bench because, you know, I have this guy right here, Stephon Castle, who I'd been running at my point guard spot. With him being at 500 salary, I'm probably going to still want to run him off the bench, but I can now compare him with Sapphire cards who are going to also be at 500 salary and see, does it make sense for me to continue running Stephon Castle at 500 when I can run another Sapphire card who might have more badges and might be a better overall player for the same salary. Now, Castle is still a 6'7" point guard for me, and I do think, you know, if you are someone that's running a guy like a Stephon Castle, like an Anthony Black, who's another 6'7" point guard from this set, they're going to be up to 500 salary, but I think that's still fine, personally speaking. It's more so going to be these higher end cards, you know, a card like, you know, Josh Giddey being at 1200, even that's fine, but, you know, Tumani Kamara, like, I liked him. I don't know if I like him enough to bring him in at 1200 because starting at 1200, you can also bring in some of those amethyst cards that you may have who haven't seen their salaries bumped up past 1200, because while 1200 is the ceiling for rubies, it's the floor for amethyst. For example, I'll show you guys right here. If we go into our lineups and I go to Tumani Kamara, I'm sure we can find an amethyst in my lineup who's at, or in my collection rather, who's at 1200. Right here, Jalen Brunson, literally my first amethyst. He's at 1200 salary. Man, Trevor Ariza still being at 2000 really sucks. There's my Jarrett Jack, who I believe I mentioned earlier in this video. Vince Carter, who a lot of you guys may have from the Season 1 Pro Pass. He's also 1200. So you may want to bring these guys in over a guy like Tumani Kamara. Although, again, Tumani Kamara, like the majority of these NBA Storylines players, they do bring a lot of good badges, and a lot of them bring a lot of size and a lot of defense, which are things that I really like to have on the floor for my team. So I might try to still build around them, but we are going to have to be careful. I just can't have my top 3 players in salary cap cost 5,000, 2,000, and 2,000. As much as I love this Dyson Daniels card, and I really enjoyed using him over the weekend, I'm not going to be able to justify bringing him in. So I am going to have to bench him. I'm not going to create my new salary cap lineup in this video. Part of me kind of wants to bring in the D'Angelo Russell that I got in my previous salary cap report episode. I just don't know if I want to bring him in when I have a guy like Brandon Jennings, who I really like, or even a guy like Jalen Brunson. While yes, he is, you know, only whatever he is, 6'1" or 6'2", he's only 1200 salary, so maybe for now we'll just throw Brunson in over here. Thabo Sefolosha going up to 1800 is pretty rough. I kind of want to keep him in here only because he is so damn good defensively, but it may make more sense for me to bring in one of these NBA Storylines players like a Tumani Kamara or someone else who I really like. Maybe I throw Klay Thompson in there because Klay Thompson now is up to 1200 as well. Which is a little frustrating, but it does make sense. I mean, he's a card that everyone has access to. Everyone can Evo him. And so, yeah, he would be 1,200 because while he's Evo'd, salary ratings for players are tied to their lowest tier version for an Evo. So, like, for example, if this Klay Thompson were to get another evolution tree later on in the season where you can, I don't know, Evo up to a pink diamond, let's say, he still can't go any higher than 1,200 salary because his initial tier was Ruby, and Rubies can't go any higher than 1200. So in a way, I will say I do kind of like this because it felt like with that 13,500 salary that we were going to see way too many diamonds come into salary cap games, and we might still see that, but we're not going to really be seeing a lot of these relatively OP cards from the NBA storyline set out there, because if you're going to run a bunch of them, you're going to have to cut corners elsewhere in your lineup. So I guess tune into stream later on today and see how we end up constructing our salary cap lineup to abide by all these new salary cap changes, where it feels like no one really went down in salary and a lot of players ended up going up in salary. The last thing I want to show you guys before I get on out of here is we do have, let me actually quickly exit and re-enter my team just in case they updated the collections and have the mic drop set coming into the collections tab. If not, we'll go into hidden gems. Yeah, it's not out there yet, which is fine. I'm recording this just after 9 a.m. Eastern time, so it might still be a little early. But there is one player who for sure I think a lot of people are going to want to cop for their salary cap runs this week, if not for the entire season, and that is Ruby Paul George. Now, the first thing I looked at when it came to this card were his badges, and his badges really don't look all that incredible. Only 7 gold badges. None of them really all that exciting to me. I mean, handles for days, I guess, is kind of nice, and then so is Challenger and Off-Ball Pest, but I was really hoping to see like a Deadeye or an On-Ball Menace, and it's not even just the fact that he doesn't have Deadeye or On-Ball Menace on gold. He doesn't have Deadeye or On-Ball Menace at all. You would have to add it to this card, and even like defensively, he has Pick Dodger and Glove on silver. Maybe he'll still be a card that'll come out and do well for you just because he's Paul George, and Paul George I feel like tends to get great animations, tends to have a really good jumper in this game. But even the shooting ratings, I mean, an 80 mid-range, an 80 three-pointer, 90 driving dunk is pretty nice. Defensively, he's solid but not elite, only an 85 perimeter defense and a 78 interior. Rebounding, not all that great. Speed, only at an 84. So this card, I feel like he could be really good, but my fear with this Paul George card is if he comes out and he ends up being a little bit pricier because of, because of his name, then we could potentially, I don't want to say that we wouldn't see him as a valuable asset to our salary cap teams, but he already doesn't have the badges that I would like to see on a Ruby small forward. He doesn't have the ratings that I would like to see on a Paul George Ruby card, and his salary is at 1200, which again, that's the max that a Ruby card salary could be. So there really is a lot stacked against this Paul George card, but if he ends up being relatively cheap for whatever reason, I would say buy him and then take him into shoot around, see how you feel about him, because maybe he'll end up working out for you. And if his jumper is really quick, maybe I'll bench Klay Thompson for him, because I don't really love Klay Thompson's jumper, even though I've only taken like 3 jumpers with him in salary cap. So, not the most, not the biggest sample size is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, that's the video. Sorry if it was a bit of a longer one. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there on all these salary cap changes. It's really unfortunate that I spent the last couple of salary cap report episodes gassing up these NBA storylines players, and then 2K comes out this week and basically maxes out every single one of those players' salaries to the highest that their tier will allow. So we'll have to see in the coming weeks if 2K will drop these cards in value. Maybe, if anything, the last nugget I will leave you guys with is if 2K maxing out these players' salaries leads to some of these players dropping in value on the auction house because people end up having a hard time trying to find a way to fit all of them into their lineups, that may end up being a blessing. And if that happens, I would say all these cards will be good investments if you were to buy them, because I don't see them all staying at this high salary cap value ceiling for all that long. I feel like it's just because these cards came out in the last week and everyone used them because they were the best cards, best budget cards in terms of their tier, not because of their price, available to us in game, and 2K responded by raising all their salaries. So if their salaries go down over the coming weeks, you'll be happy that you bought them this week instead of waiting until later on when their prices potentially go back up. Anyways, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I will be going live. This video should be going out. It's 9:15 right now. Should be going out shortly after I'm done recording this, because I want to get it out before I go live on YouTube. So hopefully, if you're free, you can come and hang out. Maybe let me know in the comments down below who are some players now in light of these salary cap changes that you would want to bring into your lineup to try to compete, as we are all hopefully grinding for those pink diamond hidden gem shattered pieces. Appreciate you guys. Until next time, I'll see you later.